Hey, what's up? Good morning. Is my microphone working? I'm not getting levels. I'm not getting levels on the mic. Let's see here. Let me know if you can hear me. Am I muted? I'm waiting for somebody to say mute for some reason. This is what happens. This is what happens. I am live. Okay, I'm live. You can hear me. Okay. For some reason there's no audio levels. Okay, awesome. You can hear me. I don't know what's going on. YouTube did not want YouTube wanted to censor me this morning. They saw my topic and they're like, "Nope, we're not pushing him live." So, I don't know what happened. It was just I was getting that spinny wheel, so I had to reload it. I'm like, "Oh crap, this is going to crash the entire stream. I'm going to have to create a new one." But fortunately, it popped right back up. I went live, but for some reason my audio levels are not showing, but you can hear me, so that's all good. So we've got a full chat. Good morning. We've got John. What's up? Good to have you live, John. I almost said this morning. It's likely afternoon for you. Jenny, good morning to you. Victor, Ed, Dan, Paul. Let's see. TD Sports Cards. What's up? Good morning, Zach. Herman. I love that you have the Cubs cardometer in the background. Should leave that every morning. Herman said no notification, which is weird because I tweeted the link out and I had this created like 25-30 minutes ago. So YouTube must be wonky this morning. Yeah, so I have the Cubs cardometer in the background today. I still, by the way, have the count is over 800,000. As you can see in the background, it's the last check was 799. What is that? 940. I have not counted what I picked up at the Madison Card Show over a week ago. So I haven't counted my Bowman. I have not counted Bowman. I have not counted. Let's see. I've not counted the cards from Zach and Porter. I have not counted the other boxes that I got at the Madison Card Show. So your shirt looks orange. Perhaps the color temp of the lighting. Probably. It's probably. I just have a single light bulb up there. I need to invest in some like one of those circular lighting things. What's up, Shaw Cards? Good morning. Zach says notification is always 2 to 3 minutes late. I just got it now. Interesting. That's weird. And so YouTube must not send those notifications until I push live, even though I created the stream like a half an hour ago. I wonder, does anybody know? I'm a newbie when it comes to YouTube, even though this is what episode 500. I'm a newbie. Episode 567. I'm still a newbie. Slow learner am I. Ed says, great show last night, Herman. I'm now contemplating chasing the 76 set myself. I did not get to catch Herman and Kin live last night. I popped in. I was in the middle of. That's the reason the Cubs cardometer is in the background, because it was in my storage area here in the basement, which we're having heavy-duty shelving units put in today. So yesterday, I cleared the entire room out. My back is sore. That's what happens when you get older. And so my rec room is, I texted Herman and I'm like, this is why I can't watch live. My rec room is just completely filled with all the crap that was in the unfinished storage area. But it's going to be good. You got to make a mess before you can make it clean. So I'm looking forward to getting more shelving units. It'll actually provide more storage space, and I'll be able to have it a little more organized. Herman saw it when he was here last weekend. It was just kind of a disaster. I had these, cheapo plastic shelving units. You can't put too much weight on those. One wall was just pallets, just to keep boxes off the floor. So now with heavy duty shelving, I'll be able to get some more stuff. I've got like 200,000 cards in there that I'm trying to bulk out. I've had some people kicking the tires on Facebook Marketplace, and I think they're thinking it's a little more than what it is. So I just say it's mostly commons. It's a much better grouping than the last batch that I sold, and I've got some other stuff that try to entice people. Unfortunately, bulk takes forever to move. I think it took me a month to move my last batch, and I think it's probably going to likely take that much time to move this batch. So I just wanted to get that going. Let's see. I'm going to go to the chat here. Jeremy's with us. What's up, Jeremy? John says, I'm still waiting for last Friday's notification. Cooter says, good morning. Just shipped you a small box of Cubs for the cause. Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Has some of the best card content on YouTube and the worst lighting. Ring light would have would have a field day and a stress and endorsement. Let's see. Just opened up 11 2022 Topps hangers, 2 Wander rookies, and a Tatis home field advantage. Only 1 gold card. Got 5 hangers left for a video. Very nice. DR says, morning. I think the auction was a success for me last night. Sold about 30 of the 200 I switched over. Also my highest dollar day in months. Also fun watching all the action. That is one thing I really enjoy about auctions is getting those bid notification, and especially the last minute of the auction. It's kind of like the Kentucky Derby. Like you can run a 7-day auction, I guess a better comparison would be an NBA game, because I was watching the Bucks and Celtics last night. It could be a 30-point game at halftime, but it really only comes down to the last 2 minutes, because all the action, you make those runs and the last 2 minutes count. It's like, oh, it's a 30-point game. The game's over. No, it's not. Just wait till the last 2 minutes. 2 minutes in the Kentucky Derby, 2 minutes in eBay auctions. It's a 7-day auction. Nothing happens for 6 days, 23 hours, and 58 minutes. In those last 2 minutes, all of a sudden, the bids start chiming in. So that's what I do like about running eBay auctions. And I think, DR, I'm actually going to take that idea. That's why I like doing these videos. I can steal all of your ideas. I'm stealing Ken's player lot ideas. I'm stealing Dan's auction ideas. So my plan, I think today's Tuesday. So tonight, I probably scratch that. I probably won't get to it tonight, because I'm going to have to be rearranging the storage area after the shelves are built. So it was good in theory. So maybe next week I'll do the Tuesday auctions, flip them over. Although, I can actually do them from the couch. Maybe I'll just bring my laptop to the couch and just do a bulk switch over, because I imagine it doesn't take too much time. So I guess I can make some time to do that later tonight. Jenny says, the one downside of collecting bulk cards, tough on the back. Oh my God, I know. And I picked up one tub, those what are they? Not Tupperware, the big plastic tubs. So I don't know. I've been through enough moves and enough and I collect heavy crap like baseball cards and magazines. I ended up dumping a ton of old magazines like Sports Illustrated, Sporting News. I kept some of the ones that I thought, might sell for a couple bucks, but in the end, they've been sitting in my unfit, like the Sporting News. I bought a truckload, an SUV load, basically filled the back of my SUV of Sporting News magazines. I paid $20 for 1,000 Sporting News magazines. But I had to drive 5-6 hours away. And I remember at the time, I had a Ford Explorer. This was 2005. I had to drive to Mount Carmel, Illinois, not Chicago, Mount Carmel, but Mount Carmel down south. It's right across the border from Evansville, Indiana. So, and I live further south. But it was still a 5.5 hour drive. I paid $20 for the magazines, but I think I spent $75 in gas, and it would be even more now, because gas is around. Actually, in Illinois, it's $4.50 a gallon. Up here, it's just under $4. So I think gas was 2005 when we had that gas spike and it was like $2 a gallon, $2.50 a gallon. Anyway, so I still 15, is that right? 15 years? Yeah, over 50, 17 years later, I still have a pile of frickin' Sporting News magazines. I made my money back a long time ago. I made my money back in like 6 months. And then I just held on. It's like, oh, maybe these will sell someday. Some of them you would think. I had some early set. I have some. The ones I kept were like early 70s, UCLA, Bill Walton on the cover. You'd think they'd sell. I think now that I have I have a more traditional eBay store. In the past, I just kind of had random items. And I try to do auctions they wouldn't sell. So now I think that I have a more traditional eBay store. I have volume in the store. I think maybe I could just put them in as a buy it now and maybe move a couple here and there. And it's just pure profit at this point. Cause I made really good money early on because there were some good issues back there, but, some of the like 90s, late 80s, some of them that were like, torn, ripped up, those I tossed. I kept every anything trading card related, I kept because I love the content inside old baseball card magazine, Beckett, Tough Stuff. So I have a whole tub full of those that I enjoy. And I'll, if I want to get away from cards, I just pick up a Beckett or a baseball card magazine so I can read about. If I'm not sorting cards, shipping cards, listing cards, I'm reading about cards. It's a sickness. So moving all that crap around and dumping it in the recycle bin. But I had one of those plastic tubs, and I picked it up. And when you're expecting something to weigh 20 pounds or 10 pounds and you pick it up and it's like 40 pounds and it's like, and all of a sudden your back like semi seizes up and it's like, oh crap. That happened because I failed to recognize there were 2 large flat rate boxes filled with cards. They were like the Oklahoma Sooners football cards from Upper Deck, which I have like 200,000 of. So I had to take those out. And then guess what happens? I take one out. I had opened both sides because some of those boxes had not just Oklahoma cards, but other cards. And there was some decent stuff in other boxes. So I was checking all of them just to make sure. And so the bottom fell out and I had cards everywhere. Those also went in the recycle bin. Let's see. Lighting is easy. I do it for a living. Not very well, though. Where are we at? Oh, my chat always skips around. Oh, wow. I'm way behind on the chat. Going through a similar reorganization here, says Ed. Your shirt scared me until I saw the logo. Appears a little too close to Texas orange on my screen. Yeah, we got the W. And it is supposed to be red. And it is red. It's just the wonky lighting in here. A campfire would be better than what Bo currently uses. Yeah, okay. You're talking me in. I'm gonna make a run to go get one of those circle lights. Bo looks like he's being interrogated by the Bulgarian secret police. Jenny pulled my first Wander Auto from Topps Bunt digital card, but hey, it's fun. How is a digital card autographed? That was going to be my question. Bo is either kidnapped by a card hoarder or a woman who sponsors card shows as a hobby. I hope I don't lose my wrench today. John says, I only collect analog cards, so I have no idea. Great Cub win and horrible Sox debacle. Yeah, I was following along. I was actually watching basketball after we finished up down here. Went upstairs. My wife was on her laptop and she's like, do you want to watch the last episode of Ozark, which we started watching? Herman actually texted me Sunday night and he's like, hey, did you finish Ozark? And I'm like, literally watching it right now. And 20 minutes in, I was dozing off because that's what I do. Doze off on the couch. And my wife's like, at this point, usually I fight it like, oh, I'm not sleeping, which is a lie. Why do we do that? Why, when we fall asleep on the couch, and it's like I think it's a man thing. Like my dad did it Actually, I think my mom did it too. So I guess it's not just it's just not what. But like, why do we do that when we're falling asleep on the couch? We say we're not. Like, it's just, no, you're absolutely sleeping. I was. I'm absolutely sleeping. Why do I fight it? Why do I fight it? I don't know. It's just a thing we do. So I'm falling asleep on the couch. And this time I didn't fight it. I'm just like, because I was exhausted. It was a long weekend. Um, did double dipped on the Mother's Day, took my mom out for lunch on Sunday, drove home, and then we did dinner at my mother-in-law's with my wife's grandma on Sunday night. And then I'm just like conked out watching Ozark, 20 minutes in, falling asleep. My wife only took her one time to ask, "Are you falling asleep?" I think so. I think I'm going to go to bed. So then last night she's like, "I'm not really paying attention," because she was doing some work on her laptop. She's like, "Do you want to watch Ozark or do you want to watch this?" And I'm like, let's just watch this. It was a close game. I think it was the fourth quarter by that point. So watch the game. It was a good game. Boston won, which I wanted Milwaukee to win. I wouldn't call myself a Bucks fan, but I'm rooting for the Bucks. I don't like calling myself a fan of a team if I just loosely root for them. And so I loosely root for the Bucks because I don't really watch the NBA. I have a Bucks hoodie, but that's the extent of really my fandom. I want them to win, but I don't consider myself like a fan. I root for them. Let's see. DR says, I did that bulk edit to switch over 200, buy it now to auctions and drop my starting price in bulk by 60%. It only took 2 minutes, and then I had 200 auctions ending at the same time. I love that. I'm definitely going to employ that. I think I'm going to look into that today. I do know that it's much easier on like a laptop or a desktop than on your phone. You really can't do anything bulk wise on the app. So I'll just have to bring my laptop up or take the one that's in my upstairs office and use that. What's up? Diego's with us. I think it's just the player signs on the iPad. It's transferred to digital. I just enjoyed the Bunt app because it's free and I can rip packs with coins I don't buy. That's cool. Rubbermaid, thank you. That's the word I was looking for, not Tupperware, Rubbermaid tubs. Bo works from home and now is trying to shorten his commute even more. Paul says, how's everyone's sales doing? I've been hearing some people are slowing down a little. That's what we're going to talk about today. And I have some theories and opinions on the current situation and moving forward as well. Zach said he went to bed early. Glad I did. The Sox loss was an epic failure. Sporting News was more like a newspaper. Yes. So it's very condition sensitive. And I'm sure that's a term and for magazine collectors, they are very condition sensitive because they are more of a newspaper stock. I don't think they are anymore. I think they're closer to a Sports Illustrated stock, which they moved to, probably 20 years ago. Because some of my 90s issues, I had some with like Shaq on the cover from like 94. That's I think when they started to kind of move to a heavier duty stock. But yeah, the 70s and 80s especially were more of a newspaper stock. Little thicker, but yes, much like a newspaper. Let's see. 389 quantities sold in the past 7 days. That is freaking awesome. TD was a fan of Sporting News. Let's see. Paul says, wow, that's awesome. Jenny, how many active listings do you have? I'm at 35K and maybe like 60% of that volume. Let's see. Zach answering the newspaper stock question. Jenny says, I'm excited to do Zoom with Bo and share a tip. I'm going to have to postpone that, Jenny. Today will not be a good day. So let's chat and set up a new time. Today is going to be super crazy busy. So let's push it back later this week. We can touch base. Let's see. Jeremy says it's a sickness. Them dumb Oklahoma Sooners cards, they've been floating around since 2018. They have. In fact, I talked to the guy. So I'm referring to these Upper Deck Oklahoma Sooners cards that they made in like 2000. In fact, I don't have any near me because I pulled some Brian Bosworth cards, which actually sell for like $3-4 a piece. It's like I've got a gold mine in here if that's the case. Those are actually sold like $2 plus $4 shipping. Like what? So I may be listing a bunch of Brian Bosworth cards. Anyway, the story behind these Oklahoma Sooners cards I had bought from the Blowout forums. Somebody actually in their signature had selling 300,000 cards in bulk, $150. And I'm like, damn. And I looked at, and they're from DeKalb, Illinois, which is only 2 hours away from me. So I reached out and I'm like, hey, I'm in Madison. I'm 2 hours away. I'll come down. I'm interested. So I go pick them up. There was actually some really good stuff, like all of those tennis cards. I had a bunch of tennis cards from 2007, which have the Novak Djokovic. There were about 15 Novak Djokovic rookies, which during the pandemic, I was selling for $100 a pop. So basically one of those paid off the entire truckload. But there was like out of 300,000 Oklahoma Sooners cards, or out of 300,000 cards total, about half were Oklahoma Sooners. And then I bought a second lot from him, which included even more Oklahoma Sooners, as well as Texas Longhorns football cards. These are from like 2008, 2009. So I have a ton, like hundreds of thousands of Oklahoma Sooners and Texas Longhorns Upper Deck football cards. Let's see. Herman says, hate the ending of Ozark. I have heard, I don't know what happens. No spoilers, please. I don't know what happens, but I've heard similar feelings from what I've like read. As soon as I see the comments, I'm like, oh, gotta move. Can't read that. But I've heard that it's not a good end. People are not very happy with the ending of Ozark. I still have one episode to watch, so have not seen the ending. Dan Quesadillas, what's up? Good morning to you. Obviously, it's a Thompson thing. It totally is. You can go through our family photo albums, and like every like Thanksgiving and Christmas, you'll see my dad and my brother passed out on the couch. Let's see. Cooter says, easy, Jenny. Some of us are those dumb Sooners. Speaking of your dad, that truck's amazing. Thank you. 69 C10. It's my mom has it. And she does take it to like we have what's called Anawan Fun Days, which is coming up here in a couple of weeks. I'll be back home for that. There's like a car show. She'll take it to that. They have some like classic car cruises in some of the neighboring towns. So she'll take the truck to those things as well. LOL, I wasn't meaning offense to you. I was meaning Bo has them dumb cards floating around. Yeah, and I've probably tossed a couple boxes in the recycle bin because I have so many. But now that I see that they may actually sell, I might have to dig them out and put a little more TLC into them. Zach says Bo is Top's bootlicker and Buck's carpetbagger. There you go. Michael does bulk edits on my phone all the time. It's easier now. I'll have to look into that. Sales have slowed down a lot for me. Let's see, where are we at here? Sales have slowed down. I've added 4,000 listings this month, up to 4,700. Fujitsu and Chrono. I did download Chronazio's latest thing. I have not used it yet, so I'm hoping it's just this week is going to be, actually the next month is crazy busy. I have card shows every weekend the rest of this month. I'll be in Rockford this Saturday, Green Bay next Saturday, Madison card show May 28th. The following weekend is Anawan Fun Days. My cousin's getting married that weekend as well, so I'll be out of town. The following weekend is a friend of mine's birthday party, so I'll be out of town for that. So I've just got to, find some time and make some time. But I do want to play around with Chronazio. Hopefully this week I can, once I get like the storage area back in place, tonight and tomorrow, then I can get more focused on Chronazio and we'll just playing around with it and getting more listings. I'm way under 12,000. Rich says, of course it can survive a recession. I'm getting there. We're going to talk about the current card market because Michael and Paul both say their sales have slowed down. So I'm going to share my opinion on the current market as well as the impending recession. Dan Quesadillas, I unloaded a lot of slabs and wax a couple months ago, went to cash. There's already blood in the streets, and there will be some deals out there on cardboard if you have patience and wait it out. That's another point. That's another point that I want to make as well. We are now in a buyer's market. Let's see how it evolves is another subject. Let's see. Keep rocking, Michael. I missed the comment asking how many active. I'm at 8,000. Let's see. That's awesome. I haven't tried either of those. I did scan about 500 rookie cards yesterday. Uploading now. Ed, let's see. Thanking Rich. Oh, and I skipped ahead. Where are we at here? Let's see. Jenny asks, Michael, have your slow sales come on days you don't list as much? I for sure noticed that. I can attest to that as well. My sales have slowed down the last couple days because I haven't listed very many cards. I've listed the occasional WWE Prism from my blaster. And really that's about it the last 3-4 days. Jenny adds, if I list 100 to 200 a day, my sales are way higher the next day than if I don't list, most definitely, because people are when they search newly listed, it pops right up. And so that's why we see those increased sales right after we've listed a volume. Let's see. Paul needs to get the volume up. No Ozark talk here. I've only watched 2 episodes so far. Nothing from me because I've still got 1 episode left, so I won't spoil anything. Victor, good morning to you. Bulk uploaded my first 30 cards this weekend. 6 have already sold. I love that turnover. That's awesome. Michael says my sales haven't dropped on days I don't list. My issue is 0. Multiple card orders have disappeared. Multi-card orders are like 0 now. I've actually, now that I'm going through the weekend, I had a lot of multiple orders over the weekend. But I don't see as many as I used to. And when I say used to, I'm talking like last year. But my sales are also, way down from last year. I'm listing to sell the same amount dollar wise. I'm or in volume wise, not even just dollars, but I'm listing 4x. So basically I'm making the same amount of money on 12,000 active listings than I was a year ago on 3,000 active listings, because my sell-through rate has fallen from 2.3% last February, March down to 0.6, between 0.6 and 0.7%. So, which I have the inventory. So that's not crushing, because I have the inventory to list. If I didn't have the inventory to list, I would be very concerned, but I have plenty of inventory to keep that. And basically my projections when I went full time, my projections were based on a 1% sell-through rate, because I knew 2.3% wasn't going to be sustainable. And it's going to be closer to 1%. So I did base my projections on 1%. However, it has fallen short of that 1% as I'm, I think my low recently, because I added so many cards, last week and 2 weeks ago, that my sell-through rate fell to like 0.6%. But it's bounced back up to closer to 0.7%, just because I haven't listed the volume here over the last few days. And I track those numbers on a daily basis. Let's see. Ryan, what's up? Ryan from Kansas. Good morning. Always got a Cub stack going for you. Go Royals. Love it. Let's see. Jenny says, yes, single card orders are the most common. And I think that's always going to be the case. You can do as many promotions and volume discounts, but many people don't want to buy volume. They're on like, oh, I can get this rookie card for $1.50. I need it for my set. So I think this is this is going to be the most common, is single card orders. Michael's at 2%. You should be extremely happy with a 2% sell-through rate, because that's the average eBay sell-through rate's 1%. 2% is extraordinary. So take 2%, and if you get to 10,000 active listings, 20,000 active listings, do the math, and that's, if I was at 2%, a 2% sell-through rate, I would be swimming, because that's where I was at the height, at the peak of the hobby back in February and March. Was 2.3% was about my peak at sell-through rate. But I did all my projections because I knew that wasn't sustainable. I did my projections at 1%, and even at 1%, you do the math and take that 1%, multiply that by your current active listings, and then say if you're listing twice as many, 3 times as many, and that's going to be, you're going to sell more. I've gone to 85 cents shipping, 53 cents plus 32 cents cost of shipping materials. I'm expecting to be 1% once I get over 10,000 listings. If Bo was at 2% sell-through rate, he would not be here with us because he would be shipping. If I was at 2% sell-through rate right now, I would, I might be here, but I'd have somebody next to me shipping. I'd have to hire somebody to help. So if I was at a 2% sell-through rate, I would be, let's see, that's 2% sell-through rate. Say I've got 12,000 listings. That's 240 items per day. So I'm at around 80. I'm selling about 80 items per day on 12,000 listings. Let's see. TD is also at 2%. That's awesome. My most common price is $1.15 plus 85 cents for shipping. Mine is mostly, mine varies because I have so much. I have a diversity of low end items. Herman's eBay illiterate. So, the current market, my sales are steady. I can bring let's see. My sales are steady. Again, my sell-through rate, which is the best indicator of how the market is, has varied. And of course that's going to change, when you add, 100, 200 items or 1,000 in a week, that's going to bring your sell-through rate down. So I had a great, even Thursday. So Thursday is when I sold the Ellie De La Cruz. Even Thursday, taking that into account, it was my best selling day in several months, even minus that one card sale because it took up a bulk of the money. But last week was great, but I had a lot of Bowman listed. And then it really tailed off for the weekend. Friday was great. Saturday was low in comparison. Where was I at? It was probably it was my lowest sale date since in almost a month. And then Sunday was a little better. Monday was not great. I had a pretty slow sales day yesterday. My impressions are way up, and I think a lot of that has to do with the new Bowman. 16.3 million impressions in the last 30 days, which is up 25%. I was hovering 13, 14 million up until, the last week or so. So my sales are doing well, but it's also what I'm listing. When you list a hot new product, when you invest in inventory, and then all of a sudden you see, so, you have to take that into consideration. But I made, as of like Saturday morning, I think on $900 spent on retail Bowman, my gross sales were around $2,600, which is amazing. Now, 1,300 of that 26 was one card, which is always good because that doesn't spread out all of the other costs like supplies and postage. So that was good. Let's see. Herman says I can list and sell, but know nothing of the analytics. I'm at 3.2% thanks to lots of repeat customers. 15%. Now I'm starting. I think your sell-through rates. I'm not sure you're doing the correct sell-through rates because 3% is just astronomical, and especially. So if your sell-through rate, Paul said, how many active listings do you have? Because I don't think your sell-through rate is actually 3.2%, because I think I saw somewhere you said you had 35,000 active listings. So if you had 35,000, so for example, if you have 35, let's just say 30,000 active listings, if your sell-through rate is 3.2%, that's 960 sales per day. So I'm questioning the math on some of the sell-through rate here. Let's see. I'll help you get them days way up. We will talk later this week or next week. Yesterday, 37 card orders came in. Then 25 card orders came in last night. Very nice. Let's see. Are you guys looking at sales conversion? I think Jenny nailed it. I think they're looking at sales conversion. Let's see. My sales conversion rate is 4.9%. But my sell-through rate is about 0.7. 1,190 sales. Is that per day? My question is, so 35, yeah. So basically, here's how I do sell-through rate. Take your, go to your app, take your last 90-day numbers. So let's see. Come on. So you'll take your last 90 days. So your app will show on the homepage your 90-day totals. So I've been doing numbers sold divided by active plus sold numbers. So let's see. So do your, I wish I had, I should be on StreamYard. Let's see. So do your last 90-day sold number, divide that by number of days, which is 90, and that will get you your daily average. So your daily average, so mine is 6,963 over 90 days. That's an average daily of 77.37. So I'm averaging 77.37 sales per day. Now, take that number and divide by your total active listings. So, and this is why your sell-through rate's going to vary. I mean, I could do it in an hour and it's going to slightly change, but I track this on a daily basis, so I get a sense of where it's at. So take that daily number, so mine is 77.37, and divide that by your total active listings, which I have 11,807 right now, and that will give you your percentage, which currently is divided by 11,807, 0.65%. So 0.00655. So that is about 0.66%. Let's see. So for me, 1190 divided by 36. Well, if 1190 is 1190 your past 90 days, so you would do 1190 divided by 90 divided by 36,930. So your sell-through rate is 0.04%. So that's actually a very low sell-through rate. If that 1190 is your 90 day, so that's about 13 sales per day on 36,000 active listings. Cryptocurrency and stock market crashing yesterday and today. That's actually kind of why I wanted to touch on this subject. These past 30 days, I've listed 23,000 with chrono cards, so I'm still pretty green to the volume game. You've listed 23,000 cards in 30 days. Holy, you know what? I agree. I want to get to that. I generally can do 300 to 400 listings per hour. So I'm glad I downloaded chrono card. I need to get on that level. So I think we can help each other out. Paul, help me get to that listing, and I'll help you get that sell-through rate up. Let's see. Did you ask your parents and grandparents how can compare inflation in the 1970 to 80 versus today inflation? Which is the worst if you ask them? My grandparents are no longer living. My wife's grandma is. Yeah, it's crazy how fast you can list. Rip, haha, thanks, Bo. Happy to learn the proper formula so I'm not tricking myself. So you help me, I help you. Let's see. So the current market, I think we're kind of in that, we're in that uncharted territory, basically. Victor says, wow, I'm way behind. I only have 2 listings. We can help you. We're in uncharted territory because I think there's a lot of uncertainty on what the economic outlook is going to be, especially here in the next 12 to 24 months. I think most most financial experts say a recession is coming in the next 12 to 24 months. We're already seeing the beginnings of that, which is there any surprise? I don't think so. We saw it with the pandemic, and all of a sudden, everybody has more money because they're not spending money. You're not going out to eat. You're not going to ball games. You're not going to concerts. You have that money, and where are people putting that money? Where did people put that money? Into baseball cards. So now, not only do people have all this extra money, we as sellers, we're selling. We got that crazy high sell-through rate on eBay. We're making good money. We quit our jobs and sell cards full time. But was that going to last? And that's actually something I took into consideration last summer when I decided to quit my job and sell cards full time, because I felt that even in a downturn that I had enough paid for inventory that and I had enough connections built up that I could gain new inventory, and with the inventory I sell, I could still make it work. Now, here's the thing, and I think Michael and I might have been chatting about this. If you're selling low-end cards, I think that is going to take the first hit. If things continue to go the way they're going, I think my sales on low-end cards may be the first to take that hit. And why do I say that? Why do I think that? Because that's your bargain shoppers. They may have less income, and this is all macro. This is not, I know, yes, some people buy hundreds, thousands of low-end cards that they need for set building. They have that disposable income to spend on cards. But from a macro standpoint, some people don't have that disposable income, especially if they're paying more at the grocery store. They're paying more to fill up their tank to go to work. There's less money coming in for, their non-essential items, the baseball card. So I think that's why some low-end sales could really take a hit as we see inflation, interest rates going up, in all of that. DR says gas just hit $4.79. Yeah, when I was in Illinois, it was like $4.50. Illinois has a really high gas tax, but we're hovering around $4 in Wisconsin. So that's something that I took into account, that maybe those low end card sales will be the first to take the hit. And generally speaking, when card sales generally kind of tank, it's kind of like I'm not going to say stock market. It's much different than crypto, but when people start bailing on crypto, on Bitcoin, and the price sell, price drops, and everybody's getting out, nobody wants to get in and buy that dip, generally speaking. So I think I think we could see the same effects with cards. And I will say, no, I can't remember what I titled this, but will a recession kill the trading card market? That's not how I worded it, but the card market will remain somewhat healthy. Will it, is anything really healthy in a recession? No. But will it remain, I think the core, all of us or most of us in here watching this video will likely be around in a recession. Maybe some of us may not be able to spend what we used to spend. But I think, most collectors who have ridden the wave, rode the roller coaster, will continue to collect. It might be a few bucks less. It might be a lot less. But I think, there's always going to be cards in some capacity. It's always going to be a hobby / business for most people that are in it. And I think the current state of the hobby, and I don't really like that question, because I don't know, it can be interpreted in so many ways. Like, what's the state of the hobby? How do you feel that the health of the hobby is? But if I had to answer that question, I think it's very healthy. In fact, I think the hobby health right now is even healthier than where it was in February and March, when we were raking in the dough and selling 4 times the amount of cards what we're selling today. We don't have 50 people at Target waiting for retail blasters. Some people say that's a bad thing. I don't see it that way. I think there's a happy medium. I think it's great when there's demand for products. I think that's great. But I also think it's great when there are products available for the casual buyer, the casual consumer that goes in to get groceries, not necessarily chasing the vendor from store to store, but just going in to get milk, bread, and eggs. And Timmy wants to go look at the card section. Oh, here, the new Topps product is out, where, a year ago, it's just an empty shelf because 50 people flooded the card area when the vendor stocked, and it's not there. But that demand is good. I'm not saying that it was unhealthy a year ago or a year and a half ago, because the demand, and all of a sudden you see people fighting, and any publicity is good publicity. What's that saying? Any publicity is good publicity. Now, we don't want people pulling out guns. We don't want fist fights in the parking lot over a $20 Bowman blaster. But it does hit the news. And guess what? When you go to your Mother's Day, when you go to the Purple Onion, the local town cafe, it's where I took my mom for Mother's Day. When you go there and the church lady comes in after church and sits down and you have a chat, and, well, did you hear there was a fight in the Target parking lot over baseball cards? I didn't think people collected those anymore. Yeah, you don't want to see fights in the Target parking lot, but it brings attention to baseball cards. And all of a sudden, people want to check these things out. Well, my son has a whole bunch of baseball cards in his closet. He bought them, and this is actually, and I know we've all heard this, and it used to get annoying to hear it over and over again, and it's kind of been resurrected. We saw people finally realize that 1991 Fleer was not good, even if it was sealed in a complete. I've got a complete set of 1991 Fleer. I'm sorry, it's worth $1. And I haven't heard too many of those stories because people finally realize they're not worth much. But I heard and this was an actual conversation on Mother's Day at the local cafe. I'll have to talk to my brother. Had a bunch of cards, and he bought them because he was gonna use it for his son's college education. How many times have we heard that? So I think any publicity is good publicity. It's not necessarily good news. It could be bad news. It could be a fight in the Target parking lot. But it brings attention to baseball cards. And now you've got the fringe, people who may have collected 30 years ago. Holy crap, people are fighting for baseball cards. I've got to check this out. So I'm going to go to Target and I'm going to see what cards they have. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to buy that 1986 Donruss Jose Canseco because I couldn't afford it when I was a kid. But now I can. Not only do I have more money, but it's a lot. It's not $100 anymore like it was in 1989. I'm going to go to the chat because I've been rambling on. Where are we at here? Michael says wax prices need to come down. I somewhat agree. There's demand. Unfortunately, there's demand for the current wax prices. Do they need to come down? I don't think they need to come down. I'd like them to come down, especially Bowman. I'm not going to spend $300-$400 for a hobby box of Bowman, but I'll spend $32-$33 on a blaster box. As long as there's demand, we're going to see those prices. And I think some of the companies will realize, Panini, looking at you, Panini's going to realize that people don't want to spend $35 for a blaster box of Chronicles. And I think we'll see, and usually we don't see prices, go backwards. But I think Panini, and just based on some comments throughout last year that I heard from people with Panini, I think it's more of an exploration of what the current demand is. And I think we'll see some of those low-end products that sit on the shelves. Looking at you, Panini Chronicles, I think they'll go back to 20, maybe 25. I think Panini may set that $27 price point, which still, I'm not spending $27 on anything Chronicles, whether it's licensed or unlicensed, when it comes to MLB, NFL, whatnot. Let's see. Dan says the Korean won is worth 78 cents US dollars right now. We need to convert the middle priced buyers to low dollar buyers. Maybe a low dollar rotation could help us. DR ads, I saw diesel at $7 a gallon. Now those blaster prices make more sense. Yeah, look at those diesel prices, because that's what's fueling America. Look at the trucks on the road. They're filling up their big truck tanks with diesel, and that's how most of our products get from manufacturer to the store and eventually to the end user. So those fuel prices rise. Truck drivers are putting more fuel in their gas tanks. They're spending more money. They're charging your grocery stores more money for transportation from point A to point B. The grocery store in turn has to raise the price of a pound of hamburger and a gallon of milk. Cooter says low-end cards will be the go-to for people who want to enjoy the hobby. It will be the mid-high-end RPAs, etc., that are propped up by the investors that will be hit first, in my opinion. I semi agree and disagree with that, because I don't think the high-end market is going to be touched. I think it's going to be, it's kind of the rich get richer type. We see those high-end RPAs. Who's buying those? Drake and who else? Giannis. Big name guys who have millions of dollars. Those I don't think will be touched. I think it's going to be the mid end. So I'll agree with the middle end. The mid end, the $500 cards, the $1,000 cards, the $2,000 cards. I think that's going to be the range. But I also think the budget buyers are also going to be, and not all of them, but I think there's going to be, that's where we're going to see, I would venture to guess many collectors fall into that low end, from, a macro viewpoint, are going to fall into that, don't have the discretionary income. So they're, maybe buying a blaster box, once a week or once every 2 weeks, once every payday. And I think that's, generally speaking, the average collector. I'd be curious. I wonder if there's any, what's the average collector spend on cards? And it's kind of hard, because I think the average collector isn't really social. I think if you're watching this video, if you're tweeting on Twitter, if you're in Facebook groups, I don't think that represents the average collector per se. And what I mean by that is the representation of all money spent in the hobby. Because I think, your high end, your people who are spending $100 or more. And so that's I know that's $100 to $1 million plus, represents a very small portion of the hobby. And I think a lot of people are, spending $20 a month on the hobby or less. I would be curious to find what and when I say average, that kind of sounds, I don't, when I say average, like overall, like every collector, because I think a very small percentage of people who are, and so I won't use the term average collector. I think the people who are on social media, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, I think that represents a very small percentage of people who spend money on cards. That's what I'm trying to get at when I say the average collector, because I think I think we all consider ourselves the average collector, but I think on average, I don't mean to label that, and now I'm just kind of talking all over the place. So I'm going to move on to the chat. Michael says, I'm glad that the flipper retail crap has declined. I do agree, because I'm enjoying it more, that I can go to Walmart or Target on a Friday and maybe it's been sold out, but at least there's a chance. Whereas a year ago, it's like if I go to Walmart or Target anytime near the vendor coming, there's going to be a line of 25 people, and I just don't want to deal with that. So I agree with that. My perspective is baseball cards are still strong in my store, but basketball and football super slow. And I think that's I think that's completely understandable. Because we're in the offest of the off season for football. Because it's, the draft is a week out now. We won't have any movement until, I think there might be speculation in the next, probably in a month. I think we're still a month out before football starts that preseason hype going into training camps, which begin in the middle of July. So I think we're still a month out before we start getting that preseason hype. Basketball, we're in the playoffs now, and how many teams are still alive? 8. Yeah, I think there's 2 games or 4 teams on each in each conference. So basketball, it's winding down, and you see basically in playoffs you see certain peaks. I'm sure there was a jump in Al Horford cards yesterday. I got a couple offers on Grant Williams because those are players from the Boston Celtics. They won last night. Horford had an amazing game. You'll see that, but generally, it's game over, season over for most of the teams. So you'll see that decline in basketball, and it'll pick up in September, October. Let's see. Jenny says, I no longer get sent for milk and eggs because our milk and eggs cost $50 plus because them cards jump in my cart, right? 2 blasters and a gallon of milk and a carton of eggs. Dane Quesadilla said, Sweatpants Mafia is struggling, bro. How will they pay for cigs now if they can't flip absolute football hangers? TD says, true. Michael, the newbie flippers are stuck with a lot of high-end inventory that's half the price now. The good part of the hobby is more retail outlets carrying cards. I think, and that's entering dangerous territory, in my opinion, for the future. Median. That's the great word. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, John. I'm going to go back to, I think I actually skipped way ahead. So yes, there is no average. There is no average collector, is there? I would agree with that. And I think median is the proper terminology I should use. Average collector spends $25 to $50 a month is my guess. I would probably be, in that range. I think it's on the lower end of that range. You can get a feel by checking your customers' feedback to see how much they've gotten as a buyer. Big League and opening day are great. Wish other sports had them. TD says, I do a lot of $1.50 and $2 listings. Cards sitting around will eventually go to someone who likes a specific team or their favorite player. That's why that's my niche, is those low dollar, $1.50, $2 cards move. I have to list a lot more than what I used to, but they still do eventually move. And sometimes you're surprised by what moves for $1.50. DR says, I wonder how slow down would move sellers out of the market and benefit those who stay. Let's see. I wonder how slowdown would move sellers out of the market and benefit those who stay. I think essentially it comes down to the people who are moved out of the collectibles market are the ones who came in for the quick buck. And those who stay are the people who do it for, the love of the hobby. This is a business for me now, but I still love baseball cards. And and here's the thing. I used the term when Theo Epstein came to the Chicago Cubs in 2012. He had a plan, and this was the plan. The rebuild was the plan. There was no plan B, and that's the approach I took to starting my business of selling cards 6 months ago. However, sometimes plans don't work. Fortunately, as a Cubs fan, Theo's plan worked, and hopefully my plan works. But sometimes there's outside influences that can crush your goals that we have. No matter how hard I work, how hard I push, it just may not be meant to be. And so when I started, before I made the ultimate decision, I did a SWOT analysis, and here's my strengths, here's my weaknesses, here's your threats. And here's the opportunities. And so some of those threats, I think I might have, I don't know, I might have deleted. I'm sure I have it somewhere. But anyway, an outside threat, I have no control over a recession when people don't have the money to spend on cards, and all of a sudden the collectibles market just crashes essentially. I have no control over that. So no matter how hard I work, that's a threat that I can't get around. I can make some pivots and do a pivot, but sometimes outside threats can crash that. Let's see. Where am I at? Paul says some customers of mine only have a few buyer feedback per month. Some look like they're buying daily. I'm seeing the same, and which I think it's good that you see a lot of small feedback scores. I get a ton of less than 50 feedback score, which I think is good because that represents, hopefully newer eBayers buying cards, not people opening other accounts so they can get free cards or whatnot. So yeah, I've seen, and then sometimes I get the 10,000 plus or 5,000 plus feedback scores buying cards. Michael says 80% of my buyers have feedback 100 or less. I haven't run my numbers, but mine's pretty high, especially at 100 or less. Mine's pretty high. I don't know if it's 80%, but it's certainly pretty high. Let's see. DR says we are all above average. Syntax Rocket, what's up? I think vintage is the way to go during a recession. All of the volatility has already been taken out of the equation, and I think that's just it generally. I don't like to put, people bring up, oh, you're the Cubs guy. Look at this fancy Ed Howard shiny auto. I don't want it. The kid's 19. He may be really good, but I, as a Cubs fan, have seen too many that have not. And I'll take the chances of passing on it and him becoming an all-star against the better odds of may not make it past AA. So and that's why when I put any type of money into my Cubs collection, it's, pre-war basically. You could also get vintage for some great prices even now. Michael says baseball is best. You have player collectors, team collectors, set builders. Other sports, you don't get that as much. I would agree with that. I think baseball, and I actually had this conversation over dinner Sunday night. I think baseball is still king when it comes to cards. I think some of the other, basketball recently, which has been in a big decline over the last year and a half. Sometimes they steal the headlines, football and basketball with Brady or Jordan. But, I think when it's all said and done, baseball is still king. TD says, I do like seeing more card stores opening this year. I do like to see that. I fear for them. I know some, and I personally know many that I think will have much success, but I also see some opening up that it's like, ooh, I don't know how that's going to work out. Because we saw that in I know this is a new day, but I just see those, people ask, I say never. People ask me, would you ever open a brick and mortar? The answer is no. I will say never, but there's about a 99.99% chance. There's always a chance, but it's a really, really slim chance because the overhead costs alone. And that's not, my market is not, my market is low end stuff. And how many dollar cards do you have to sell to keep the power on and the water and the Wi-Fi and the rent? It's just no way. About the only thing, and I've talked about this before, is opening up a small office for shipping. But then again, you've got to pay. You've got to have a Wi-Fi connection if you're shipping. You've got to have the lights on. You've got to have water for a bathroom. You're going to pay rent. And then I would only be doing that to have an employee. Now I'm paying a salary and not going to do that. So that's a bridge I'll have to cross. We'll see. Bobby Portis is selling. I think in New Jersey, the legalization of marijuana will lead to less card sales, or maybe it leads to more. Let's see, where are we at? Rich says if the median collector is spending $25 to $50 per month, they cannot purchase a hobby box of any sport. That's absolutely right. And I would also be curious if there what a budget is. What's the median? Thanks, John, for the proper verbiage. What's the median collector spending per month? And have they ever opened or bought a hobby box? I think a lot of us just we do it. It's kind of it's our thing, and we buy boxes. Some of us buy cases. But yeah, I think, I mean, when I was a low end collector, I think I represented the median collector up until 2014, when I really got into dove into it, because I would go on eBay and I'd spend 20, 30 bucks. I'd go to Target, Walmart, I'd buy a blaster box. But I bet between 1998, I was 16 years old in 1998. That was the first time I bought a hobby box of Bowman. Of course, Bowman. Between then and 2014, I bet I bought one hobby box, if that. I don't even know if I bought a hobby box from 1998 to 2014. 15, 16 years, I probably didn't buy a hobby box. I'd buy some retail blasters. That was kind of my main source. I bet the median collector has never bought a hobby box, or has only bought one, maybe got it for Christmas or a birthday. Because now that I think about it, half of my life, half of my collecting life, I had never bought a hobby box. And that was basically all adulthood, between the age of 16, 17 up until the age of 33, 32, 33. Let's see. TD says, did you see that PSA is suspending the economy events? Yes, I think there's going to be an announcement by PSA today. So I can touch more on that tomorrow morning. They need to. PSA is 16 months behind. If we create too high of a barrier to entry, then we lose the newer collectors unless they are well heeled. I totally agree. Like button is ready and willing to be touched, folks. Oh, you're such a wizard with words. Jenny says, well, what I learned in class is I better list because I need to sell before the market crashes. And I don't think the market's going to crash. That's more of a clickbait title. Guilty. I don't think the market's going to crash. I think it's going to fall. I think the future of the interim future of the hobby, I think we're going to see more of a decline than an increase. And that's just my opinion. Because based on there's going to be less discretionary, the interest rates are higher, fuel prices keep going up. That leads to higher prices in your grocery store, which cuts into your budget. Like, say you're spending an average of $100 per week or per month at the grocery store. That could go to $150. Where's that extra $50 come from? And like I said, the median collector does not have a whole bunch of extra money to put into cards. So that $50 comes out of their entertainment. And what's going to be the first to go? You're still going to be, and I think the average person is going to take that money out of buying cards as opposed to going to a ball game or going out to eat. Because I think those are, unless you're more introverted, which, some are, nothing wrong with that. But I think the median person might, use the money remaining on, other activities than cards, and the cards can take the first hit. Let's see. So I do think the market is going to decline. But I think crash is a harsh word. I don't think we're going to see a crash. I hope. That's me being optimistic. I hope we don't see a crash. TD only for this month. Announcement coming in a bit, and I suspect it will be roaring back. Thank you for the reminder, Mr. Keating. Shaw says, hopefully things pick up around national time. Michael PSA will be caught up by the end of the year, if not sooner. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. PSA will then turn their attention to authenticating their own slabs. I smashed it, John. Thank you, Victor. Where are we at here? I'm going to wrap it up. I'm an hour and 10 minutes in. Let's see. I spent all my hobby money shipping sets to Herman. I do need to watch. By the way, if you did not catch it live last night, check out 3B Collections channel. Him and Kin on last night. I did not watch, but I'll be watching it in replay this morning. Let's see. PSA backlog is about 4 million still. They've been averaging about 850,000 a month. I think they will continue to get more efficient with those numbers. I think they're working feverishly on making a way to where they can catch up faster. And I think that number that average, they're going to average down. That average is going to go down, down, down. And eventually they will be caught up by the end of the year. I worry about the new shops who open by me. I'd be shocked if they make it to the end of the year. And that's sad, but it's a sad reality. I try to support my new LCS weekly when possible, just for that reason. Cooter says vintage is softening, working on a 66 set, and have been pleasantly surprised by some of my recent purchases of EX Plus cards. That's nice. I do like to hear that. I mean, I don't like to hear softening markets, but I do, for my own selfish reasons of buying vintage, I like to hear that. More sales, but less shipping, as the sellers will be too stoned to make their way to the post office. Both shops that open by me are grossly overpriced on everything. Very few supplies and singles. That's a bummer. Herman says, I personally spend more on eBay after a few BLs. Bud Lights, I like it. Let's see. I spend all my hobby money shipping sets to Herman. My game plan is not to start a shop. I don't want to be married to it 60 hours a week. And that's another thing. Like, when I'm in my basement, I can get a text say, hey, there's Bowman being stocked at Walmart right now. I can leave and, spend the next 30, 45 minutes going to Walmart and buying Bowman blasters. You got a shop, you can't do that, especially if you're running it on your own. You can put a sign that says back in 45 minutes, but who's going to stop into the shop? And well, it's never consistent. So that's another big reason, because then you're basically chained to your business. And I don't want that. That's what I like, the flexibility of working from a home office. Dan says, I just spent $70 on 2 Menkos for a player PC. Dan says, what do you think about the ability to vote players into the MLB Hall of Fame while they're still playing? I think it would be a fun idea. I don't like that idea. Andrew, good morning. What's up, Andrew? 3B says, I thought you spent it all on ink for your printer for box stickers. Herman, don't give away the surprise on video. Bo hasn't watched yet. I think I saw Herman do a tweet about a 76 Topps partial set, so I think I may have been partially spoiled. Cooter, 41 watching. Holy moly. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you so much. Must have been that clickbait title. Cooter says, in my opinion, the medical law passed in Oklahoma is helping prop the Dallas card shows. Having seen multiple $20,000 transactions with guys wearing dispensary shirts, Fed laws impact their ability to deposit their cash. Interesting. DR, I have personally never bought a hobby box for any sport unless we were talking about way back in the day. There you go. Wow, over 40 people in the chat. Hit that like button. Thank you. Is 43 a new high? I think it is. I don't think I'd ever hit 40 live before. So I think we broke a record today. And who knew? Today was one of those days where it's like, I don't know what to talk about. Well, people are talking about the stock market and crypto, not crashing, but falling. Let's talk about that, how it'll affect the card market. And here we go. Here we are. Michael says, I didn't know what BLs was. Bud Lights. I think the time zones make a difference. People more awake for an 8 a.m. show. Yeah, because it's now after 6 a.m. on the West Coast. Let's see. I think the Condango with the products being 1 year late could also hurt. Rich says, that's my point. Back in the 1980s, we all could afford a hobby box, so to speak. Broke a record in a down market. Nice. Yeah, can't complain about that. And I think, so Rich brings up a great point. Back in the 80s, we could all afford a hobby box. That's a good point, and there was also only was that just because there was more supply? And I think in the early 80s, maybe that wasn't the case. But by the late 80s, it was certainly the case. There was just more supply, and there was a lot of demand. I mean, I've read articles from the late 80s on, card shops not being able to get product in or keeping product on the shelves. So that's interesting. That's interesting that they were much more affordable, and especially when you take into account the inflation between then and now, how much it cost then compared to, in today's prices. But also there was so many less products, which you would think now that there's more products, we wouldn't have an affordability issue with hobby boxes. And is that bubble going to burst? I think it will. Like I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of companies and distributors are going to feel, look at right now. And I posted something on Twitter recently on all of the 2021 products that were restocked last month. Just a few weeks ago, 2021, Bowman Platinum, Allen & Ginter, Topps Archives, Topps Holiday, Topps Factory Sets, all restocked in 2022, in April of 2022. So are they going to find out that, okay, maybe we'll see clearance bins again? Maybe we need to not charge $35 for a blaster box of Panini Chronicles, but what I saw was Topps products, and those were $20, still $20 a blaster. So I don't know. Anyway, Rich says, well, I went straight to the office because of an eye appointment later instead of walking. 608 Sports Cards, looks like you must be in my area code. 608, a little behind, but Madison needs a new card shop. Open one. I would not disagree that Madison needs a new card shop. Hey, by the way, there are some good Nelson Cards in Stoughton, great card shop. Brad's an awesome dude. But it's a drive. We've got a large city right here in Madison. We do have a LCS, but it's less than desirable. I haven't been to that. I haven't been to our local card shop here in Madison in over a year, just because it's like 608 says, we need a new one. But I'm not the man to do it. Unfortunately, I'm not the man to take that on. So hey, thanks for dropping in the chat today. Awesome chat. Over 40 at one time watching, a new record. I think the time might be a new record as well. Almost an hour and 20 minutes in. Bo won't take his friend to his LCS. That's how much I don't like the LCS. I didn't even take Herman to the local card shop. I didn't want him to get a bad taste of of our LCS selection. And I have a card show. So, which by the way is another plug, May 28th, Madison Card Show. So, planning on 150 tables, 3 ballrooms, Sheraton Hotel on an hour and 18 minutes in. I haven't even said it. John Nolan Drive, Madison, Wisconsin, for the Madison Card Show. Saturday, May 28th. If you're in the northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin area, come on out to Rockford this Saturday for the Northern Illinois Card Show. It's at the Rock Church on Harrison Avenue. I'll have all of my 25-cent boxes. I'll have my 25-cent boxes with fill a box for $20. So come on out, see me in Rockford this Saturday. Thank you, Ed. Let's see. Rich says this is a hotter topic than you realize. Many discussions on the Net54 message board about the economy as we speak. I may have to check that out. I don't go to Net54 as often as I should, because it is the intelligent conversations on Net54 far outweigh the intelligent conversations on the blowout forums, which many times lack the intelligence levels that we seek. MSG Tony, but haven't heard back about the 70. Oh, message Tony, but haven't heard back about the 72s. If not, I'll see him Saturday. So I'll ask him on Saturday if you haven't heard back from him. Jenny says New Year's Eve, we all going to take a shot for John Nolan Drive when Bo says it on the show. There you go. So thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you so much. An awesome show today. Thank you to all of your comments in the chat for making a fun show. that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. Back at it tomorrow morning. If you have any, I'm going to be slammed with getting my my room put back together today. So usually I just get topics from Twitter, so I probably won't be on Twitter much today. So if you have any topics that you want to touch on for tomorrow's show, hit me up here in the chat or in the comment section or on Twitter, and we can have a talk. Oh, and I've got to plug Hobby Hotline. I always forget when I'm on. I forget to plug it. Hobby Hotline overtime is tonight, 8 p.m. Central. I will be on with Suze and Drew Herndon. So check that out tonight. Let's see. Whoa, pop back on to finish listening, and you were still live at 8:22. Jeremy Lee needs to watch out. So yes, so tonight, Hobby Hotline overtime, 8 p.m. Central. Drew Herndon, Suze, and I will be the panelists for tonight's show, 8 p.m. Central, Hobby Hotline on YouTube. Check it out. Have a great Tuesday, and we'll see you tonight on Hobby Hotline.